I like Radiohead. I imagine you also like Radiohead. Today, I'm going to rank every singular Radiohead song and place them on this beautiful tier list in front of us here. Well, almost everyone. I've got every song from every EP and single release, but I'm not going to cover any remixes or live versions of tracks, bar one or two that I really enjoy. I'm going to try to go in chronological order of the albums, with any B-sides after each album. Enough wasting your time. Let's get started with the band's first effort, Pablo Honey. Oh, Pablo Honey, you bastard. Objectively, the band's weakest effort, but we've all got to start somewhere. It's got some charm, just not much of it. Let's hop in. You. This song sounds exactly like you would expect it to. It sounds like a very early Radiohead song. A band not quite sure of their style yet, but honestly, I like this song. I was pleasantly surprised with Tom's vocals here too. Really good for such an early part of his career. It's nowhere near the band's peak, but it's a solid enough track. Okay tier for now. Creep. Now I know how easy it is to hate on this song, and I know the average Radiohead fan is actually getting ready to blow up my house, but I like this song. It's a little cheesy, but it's a hit for a reason. It's catchy, it's iconic, I have to give it its flowers. Really good tier. How Do You? I fear the rest of this album is mediocre at best. Well, most of it at least. This track, just really uninteresting. Lyrically uninteresting. Just nothing really catching my ear with this song. Nice and short though, so at the very least it doesn't overstay its welcome. Decent tier. Stop Whispering. This track is alright. There's nothing particularly noticeable about this track. It's kind of just boring. I like the guitar solo though, and I think the track ends pretty well. Okay tier, Behind You. Thinking About You. I usually like the acoustic tracks this band puts out, but man, this one kind of just sucks. It's a little corny lyrically, nothing impressive to show here. Matt tier. Anyone Can Play Guitar. I know there's people out there that like this song a lot, and I'm happy to admit that I also like this song. At least a little bit. I think the chorus is really good on this song, and it's just a pretty fun track. It's nothing complex, there's nothing deep, but it's a genuinely positive song from these guys, which is a rarity. Good tier. Ripcord. This song is actually alright. It's nothing special. Nothing is really special on this album, but this is a solid track. I like it. Behind You in the okay tier. Vegetable. I do not like this one. Not one bit, actually. I'm starting to understand why this album is ignored. It's better than Thinking About You, at least. Still Matt tier. Prove Yourself. I like the lyricism quite a bit on this track. That's all I really like, though. It's just as boring as the majority of this album. Actually, I take it back. The lyrics aren't great either. Super repetitive. The solo is okay. Top of the Matt tier. I Can't. Man, this stinks too. Reinforcing the hate this album receives again. It's a nothing sandwich here. It's mediocre. I think the instrumentation is a bit better than some other tracks we've heard so far. Especially towards the end of this track, the guitar is pretty good. It's above Ripcord in the okay tier. Allergy. Not great. I'm getting bored with this record. It's all just really uninteresting. Another track saved by a Johnny Greenwood solo at the end. It's the back of decent tier. Blowout. Now this almost sounds like Radiohead. If you told me this was a Ben's B-side track, I might actually believe you. It's a very solid track. Top of the good tier. Stupid Car. Nice short song, very solemn, very soft track. I actually think it's pretty good. Reminds me more of the Bends than it does Pablo Honey, but no problem with that. Back of the good tier. Inside My Head. Now we're back to the Pablo Honey style. If it's not apparent, that style is actually not particularly good. The vocals are just kind of off here. Top of the decent tier. $1 Million Question. I like the riff a lot here. This track is actually surprisingly catchy. It's another pretty fun listen. Good tier above Stupid Car. Yes I Am. This almost feels pretentious for some reason. Like they thought they had a real good song here, but no, it stinks. Behind Prove Yourself in the Met tier. Faithless, The Wonder Boy. What the hell even is this track? It sounds like Pink Floyd lyrically in the way that I have absolutely no fucking idea what the hell he's trying to get across here. Top of the decent tier. Coke Babies. A little shoegazy track from Radiohead. I like the idea, but it's not executed particularly well. It's not a great track. I probably won't listen to this again. Above Inside My Head in the decent tier. Pop Is Dead. They almost snuck this one by me. It's not on streaming services, this track. I know a lot of people like this track a lot, but I'm not one of these people this time. It's alright, it's nothing special. Okay tier, Behind You. And now we're free from the grasps of the Pablo Honey era, thank God. Onto a fan-favorite album, The Bends, at least 2 years after Pablo Honey, in 1995. And the album that showed the world that Radiohead was here to stay. Planet Telex. It's genuinely hard to tell this is the same band that put out Pablo Honey. What an incredible introduction to this record. Top of the really good tier. The Bends, another absolutely incredible song. I like the lyricism a lot here. A lot more depressing than the last record, but I mean, it's Radiohead, this is what we get. This is really good though. Top of the amazing tier. High and Dry, and now for the band's second Radiohead. I like this song a lot too. This whole album is phenomenal. I get why people call this their favorite record. It's a really good song, very beautiful. Behind the Bends in amazing tier. Fake Plastic Trees, oh man, a tearjerker here. Our first, but most certainly not our last in this band's catalog. It's great, it's beautiful, it's tragic, it's heartbreaking. It doesn't get much better than this. It's the masterpiece tier. Bones, I think I might like this song more than the average Joe actually. It's pretty good. I think the chorus is really catchy. It's one of the weaker songs on this record, but it's still a good track. Top of the good tier. Nice Dream, really somber track again. Perhaps a little optimistic in the lyrics though. I like the song. Above Creep in the really good tier. Just, oh yeah. This song is great. Phenomenal track. Really profound, really introspective, really powerful. Really good bass line. I love it. Top of the amazing tier. My Iron Lung, another absolute fucking banger. Really strange sounding track, almost a little grungy, but it's done really well. The fact that it was made to spite the song Creep just makes it all the more better. Top of the amazing tier. Bulletproof, I like this song a lot too. This album just doesn't have many misses. I love the acoustic style on this track, I love the lyricism. Top of the really good tier. Black Star, it's great. Really good stuff, really good vocally, really good guitar. Above the Bends in the amazing tier. Sulk, I think the only song on this record I don't really like. It's alright, I guess, it just doesn't do much for me. Okay tier, behind Pop Is Dead. Street Spirit, from my least favorite song on the record to my favorite song on the record, and one of my favorite tracks in this band's discography. Absolutely phenomenal, beautiful lyrics, incredible vocals, really good guitar, just doesn't get better than this. Our first God tier track. The Trickster, I like this song, but man, the chorus just doesn't hit for me. The vocals as a whole on this track seem a little off, I'm not really sure what it is. Above Stupid Car, in the good tier. Lewis, Mistreated. This sounds like Pablo Honey to me. I don't know why, but this has in fact forced me to relive my trauma, and for that, behind Pop Is Dead in the okay tier. Punch Drunk, Lovesick, Sing Along. Some heavy Pink Floyd vibes from this song. Very relaxing riff, very soothing vocals, contrasted with really dark lyrics. I like it a lot. Back of the really good tier. Permanent Daylight. I like this one a lot too. I usually find distorted vocals annoying, but they work pretty well in this song. It's nice and short too. Behind Blowout in the good tier. Lozenge of Love. This one I don't like so much. Doesn't really do anything particularly well. Feels a little empty and bland. Top of the decent tier. You Never Wash Up After Yourself. I like the guitar a lot on this track actually. Everything else is lackluster. Lyrics and vocals are both pretty uninteresting here. Not offensively bad though. Behind Pop Is Dead in the okay tier. Maquiadora. Maybe. More Pablo Honey-esque song, sadly. It's just not particularly good. Vocally strange, just very odd. It's not bad though. It grew on me a little when I re-listened to it. It's above Anyone Can Play Guitar in the good tier. Killer Cars. I believe the Young Cats like this song. I think it's alright. Nothing too special though. It's catchy. It's definitely catchy though. I was most certainly tapping my foot while I was listening to this track. Above The Trickster in the good tier. India Rubber, probably my favorite B-side track for the Bends, and it's not all that close. This definitely should have made the album over Sulk. You can't change my mind on that. Behind Creep in the really good tier. How Can You Be Sure? I like this one quite a bit as well. Also, could have made it over Sulk. Fuck Sulk. Behind Blowout in the good tier. Talk Show Host. This is an incredible track, man. There's actually no reason this wasn't on the record. What an awesome fucking song. This is the actual best B-side, I made that shit up before. Behind Black Star in the amazing tier. Bishop's Robes. This isn't nearly as good, I fear. I like the instrumentation a lot still, I just find the vocal style a little less enjoyable here. Above Lewis in the okay tier. Banana Co. Not great, not bad. A lot of these B-sides are inoffensive, they're just lackluster and not particularly memorable. Above Bishop's Robes in the okay tier. Molasses, this one I find slightly offensive actually. Really lackluster. There were a couple hitters, but I'm glad to be done with these Ben's B-sides. Behind I Can't in the OK tier. Now for arguably the greatest album ever recorded, the life-changing, the jaw-dropping, and the heartbreaking OK Computer. Released just 2 years after the Bends in 1997, and now cementing the band as one of the greatest to ever touch the music scene. Airbag. Oh man, what an opening track. Absolutely electrifying start to this record. The lyrics, the bass, the drums, action, the everything. Absolute classic, and a major reason this album is as good as it is. Top of the amazing tier. Paranoid Android. If you asked me my favorite song of all time, any band, I would say Lateralis by Tool, or I would say this track right here. Holy shit, is this song just phenomenal. One of Tom's best vocal performances with ease. I love the progressive nature of this song. I love it all. Top of the God tier. Subterranean Homesick Alien. I must admit, I didn't always love this song, but it's really been growing on me these last couple of months. It's a very peculiar sounding track, but it just fits the atmosphere of this album so flawlessly. It's a perfect follow-up to Paranoid Android. Behind Planet Telex in the really good tier. Exit music. Uh-oh. I think this is my most controversial take. I don't think this song is a masterpiece. Now slow down, my dear viewer. Don't leave your furious comment quite yet. That's not to say I don't think this song is fantastic. I just don't think it's particularly close to being the best song on this record like a lot of people do. I'm gonna put it at the back of the amazing tier. Let Down. Let Down underrated. I was gonna leave it at that, but I kinda wanna gush about this song a little bit. This song is absolutely beautiful. Almost jaw-droppingly so. The ending of this track could make a grown man cry, and in my case, has several times. Heart-wrenching lyrics, beautiful vocals, this is just about the peak. Above Street Spirit in the God tier. Karma Police, there's not much to say. This song is ridiculously good. It's the biggest hit on this album, and it's for good reason. Incredible track, very fitting on this record. Top of the masterpiece tier. Fitter Happier. What am I supposed to do with this? I'm gonna put it in bad songs, but it's not a song. I don't know what to do. Electioneering, a song many believe shouldn't have made the album, but I think I disagree. I don't think it's particularly world-shattering, but it's a fun song. It's a little catchy even. Behind Planet Telex in the amazing tier. Climbing Up the Walls, really good, really dark, really gritty. I like it a lot. Back of the masterpiece tier. No surprises, you know where this has to go. I know where this has to go. It's one of the greatest songs ever written. Absolutely heartbreaking track, but in that good way Radiohead seems to find so often. Top of the masterpiece tier for me. Lucky. I absolutely love this track. It's really cool callback to the start of this album with Airbag. It's iconic, it's got incredible vocals. Above Climbing Up the Walls in the masterpiece tier. The Tourist. If you gave this band another 100 years to perfectly craft up a concluding track to this record, I don't think they could come up with anything better than this. This is such a flawless way to end this project that I can't really put it into words. Just absolutely beautiful. Above Lucky in the masterpiece tier. Before we hit OK Not OK, I would like to make a quick change. $1 Million Question, the Pablo Honey B-side, is going up to the really good tier. I really like this song. That's all for now. I promise, I like this, but I don't love it. I like the drums, I think the lyrics are beautiful in typical Thom Yorke fashion, but I think this track is a B-side for good reason. I think the violin is cool. It's a beautiful track. It's just not my favorite. I get it. Top of the good tier. Man of War, now for a song that has absolutely zero business being a B-side. As far as I can remember, this is easily my favorite B-side track from their discography. Legendary vocals, legendary guitar, just an absolutely sensational track. I love it. Back of the God tier. Lift. This is going to sound slightly unhinged, but assuming you are as obsessed with Radiohead as I am, you may be familiar with the OK Outtakes tape leaked fairly recently on YouTube.com. There's a version of Lift on that leak that, in my opinion, is a top 5 Radiohead track. I'm going to link it in the description if you'd like to check it out. This version, still really good though. Another phenomenal B-side that should have probably made the record. I'm going to boldly place this at the back of the masterpiece tier. Lull. Sadly, we peaked with this B-side on the last 3 tracks. The rest just don't quite live up to those first tracks. Lyrically, it's very good. Vocally, some of his best work, but something's off. I couldn't actually tell you what it is. Behind Nice Dream in the really good tier. Meeting in the Aisle, an interlude of sorts, I suppose, but an interlude on a B-side just doesn't really make much sense to me. It's not bad though. It's not great. Behind Bishop's Robes in the OK tier. Melatonin, another relatively mediocre track here, to be honest with you. Sounds like something off of Kid A more than it does OK Computer. Not great. Above Banana Co. in the OK tier. A reminder, this is more OK Computer-ish. I think this track is actually pretty good. It's really dark lyricism, very good vocals. A little long though. Even at only 4 minutes, this track just feels longer than I think it should have. Makes no fucking sense. Behind Blowout in the good tier. Polyethylene. I like the acoustic switch up on this track. I really like when this band does tracks like this. Or actually, now that I think about it, when any of these darker bands crush out an acoustic track, it usually fucks. Think a nutshell. Anyway, thumbs up from me. Bottom of the really good tier. Hurley, this is actually just a great track. Really good vocals, just a really, really good song. I don't have too much to say. Another track that could have probably made the record. Above Electioneering in the really good tier. Palo Alto, this is a really strange track. It's almost a little uncomfortable to listen to, but I typically find that to be a good thing. And that's exactly how I feel here. Top of the really good tier. How I Made My Millions, really, really fucking sad song, but it's executed very well. Reminds me a lot of Videotape from In Rainbows. I like it a lot. Absolutely dreadful though. This might hurt a couple of you. Above Exit Music in the amazing tier. Onto the revered Kid A era, which surprisingly enough doesn't actually have any B-sides. Unless you consider Amnesiac as a whole a B-side, which I know some people like to do. I think that's kind of silly though. Kid A, a lot of people's favorite Radiohead record, and where many argue Radiohead hit their peak and mastered their style. Let's get started. Everything in Its Right Place. Man, what a complete left turn from OK Computer. This is either my favorite or my second favorite album opener from this band. And I mean, there's not much to say. Flawlessly sets the tone for this record. It's a really strange listen, but it's absolutely incredible. Definitely one of the greats. Behind Karma Police in the masterpiece tier. Kid A, and with track 2, we drop drastically. I don't really like the weird vocal distortion. I don't really like the instrumentation. It's a skipper from me usually. Behind You in the OK tier. The national anthem. I'm truly on the fence with this track. I know a lot of people cite this as their favorite Radiohead song, but I just don't really get it, man. It's very good. I love the trumpets. I love the idea behind the lyricism, but the vocals just hit a little weird for me. It's undeniably incredible, though. Above Exit Music in the amazing tier. How to Disappear Completely. When asked about his legacy with the band, Tom York said he wanted to be remembered by this song. Not No Surprises, not Paranoid Android, but this track right here. Absolutely one of, if not the most beautiful song I've ever heard in my entire life. The lyrics, absurd. The vocals, absurd. The orchestra, absurd. I love this song. I may prefer Paranoid Android personally, but there's no question in my mind what the better track is. Top of the God tier. Tree Fingers, an interlude here. Not good, not great. I don't feel like talking about it anymore. Behind Bishop's Robes in the OK tier. Optimistic. I like this song a lot, actually. One of my favorites of this record, for sure. You'd think a song called Optimistic would have to be optimistic, but Radiohead seems to find a way to make everything feel uncomfortably sad. Really good song, though. Top of the amazing tier. In Limbo, another strange track on a strange record. Sensational bass on this track. I like it. Not one of my favorite songs on here, though. Above Creep in the really good tier. Idiotech, oh yeah, we're back. This is one of the best Radiohead songs ever, and it deserves that praise. Try to listen to this song without instinctively busting a move. Go ahead. You can't fucking do it. Just really good stuff here. Behind Letdown, in the God tier. Morning Bell. I like this song a lot, but for reasons I literally can't put into words, to be honest with you. It just sounds really good to me. I don't really know why. Behind High and Dry, in the amazing tier. Motion picture soundtrack. I fear I don't understand this one either. It's good, but I don't think it's anything ridiculously special. I'm actually kind of sorry about this one. I don't know why I don't like this song. Instrumentally, it just sounds like a funeral to me. The harp is very beautiful, that's undeniable. I mean, it's a beautiful song, it's just not one of my personal favorites. Please don't hurt me. Behind Exit Music, in the amazing tier. Untitled. I don't know what to do with this. It feels super unnecessary as a closer for this record. I know it's a hidden track. Motion picture soundtrack did a much better job, but short enough that I don't particularly mind. Feels like an extension of the previous track more than its own individual thing. I'm gonna put it above Tree Fingers in the OK tier. On to Amnesiac, a record I would describe as a little underrated. It's not Kid A, but I don't really think it wants to be. It's unique, it's different, it's got its own style, but it's still Radiohead, and it's still incredible. Let's dive in. Packed like sardines in a crushed tin box. I like this song a lot. It's really unique, which could be said about any song on this album, to be honest. It's pretty catchy, actually. It's a good tone setter for this record. One of the more underrated tracks in their catalog, if you asked me. Above Pearly in the really good tier. Pyramid Song. I feel like Radiohead often closes their records with the heart-shattering, tear-jerking track, but on this record, they've treated us with despair on the second fucking track. It's great, it's the best song on this record, it's not all that close, to be honest with you. Behind the Tourist in the Masterpiece tier. Polk Pull Revolving Doors. What the fuck even is this? Instrumentation gets a sideways thumb from me. Interesting enough, but man, the vocals tear this track apart completely. This isn't really fun to listen to. It's almost disgustipated level bad here. I mean, this shit sucks. Bottom of the bad song tier. Not happy. Worst track so far. You and Whose Army, much better track here. Actually, very solid. I don't have anything wise to say though. Thumbs up from me. Above In Limbo in the really good tier. I might be wrong. Oh fuck yeah. I mean, this is just a fun song. Guitar is killer here. This is what I think of when I think of this record. This sound right here. Back of the Masterpiece tier. This track is incredible. Scratch that. I'm gonna move Optimistic up to the Masterpiece tier. Just looks wrong down there. Knives Out. Another incredible track. Really strong vocals with this song. It's very beautiful. I have nothing wise to say though. Thumbs up into the amazing tier. Behind High and Dry. Morning Bell Amnesiac. If you've been paying attention, we've actually already covered this track, but this is such a completely different version that I think it deserves its own spot. I will admit I vastly prefer the Kid A version of this track. It's not bad, but being that there's a better version of this track on a previous album, I've got to dock some points for that. Behind Blowout in the good tier. Dollars and Cents. I don't really like this one that much. It's a little too grand sounding for this record, and I just don't think it's executed all that well. Feels all over the place to me. Behind Killer Cars in the good tier. Hunting Bears, Unnecessary Interlude Time. Why does this even fucking exist? This whole album feels incredibly disconnected to me, so an interlude track just feels like a waste of time. It's not really that good either. Top of the decent tier. Like Spinning Plates. Another incredibly confusing track. It's almost good, and I think if I was high enough, I might even call this a good track. But it's just weak. What do they want me to do with this? It's uncomfortable, but not in that good way. It's behind Melatonin in the OK tier. Life in a Glass House. At least we close out this album with an absolute classic. This shit's really good, really dark, really murky. The trumpets and whatever the fuck that flute-like sound is, it just elevates this track to new levels. One of my favorites on this record for sure. Above Lift in the Masterpiece tier. The Amazing Sounds of Fun. This is very Amnesiac. This might be the most Amnesiac song, but a B-side. Really interesting, really good, very unique. I think it should have made the album, to be honest with you. Reminds me a little bit of Nine Inch Nails, if you can bear with me there. I'm gonna put it at the back of the Amazing tier. Transatlantic Drawl. I had a traumatic flashback to a long ago time when I was forced to listen to Pablo Honey. That was 2 days ago. I don't like this much. It's really noisy. Nothing particularly interesting about this song, to be honest with you. Above Killer Cars in the good tier. Fast Track, another instrumental track here. Maybe my favorite instrumental track in this discography. I think this might have actually fit on the record. It's got that eerie feeling that the rest of Amnesiac has, and I like that. Behind Blowout in the good tier. Kinetic. What the fuck? I don't really know what to say. This is just weird shit. I like weird shit, but this has completely surpassed the barrier of weird shit and kind of entered the realm of super weird shit. Thumbs down from me. Behind Melatonin in the OK tier. Cut Tooth. This doesn't really scratch that Amnesiac itch, but it's a really solid track. Reminds me of the Bends a bit. It's just a fun track. It doesn't try to do too much fancy. I'm a big fan, actually. Behind Knives Out in the Amazing tier. Worrywart. Really interesting instrumentation on this track. Sounds like something you'd hear in a Mario level almost. This does scratch that Amnesiac itch, and it does it pretty well. Great track, but in a completely different way than that last one. I'm gonna put it above $1 Million Question in the really good tier. Fog. I don't like it. I'm tired of this era of tracks, to be honest with you. It's not offensively bad, it's mediocre. Back of the good tier. Like Spinning Plates, Why Us? I wasn't planning on covering any remixes like this, but I've heard through the grapevine that this is actually an incredible song. My verdict, they were right. This is much better than the original Like Spinning Plates, and it's actually very, very good. This should have made the album for sure, either one of them, Kid A or Amnesiac. This is really good. Behind Knives Out in the amazing tier. Follow Me Around, this is tragically mediocre, to be honest with you. I'm just not impressed with this at all. Vocals are done well, but it's just really uninteresting to me. Behind Anyone Can Play Guitar in the good tier. If you say the word, this is much better. This sounds a lot like Kid A, much more than that last track we heard. I like the instrumentation a lot here, it's a very soothing listen. I'll put it behind Motion Picture Soundtrack in the amazing tier. On to Hail to the Thief, another incredibly underrated album. It's not on par with their peak, but this album has a lot of charm to it. I like it a lot. Let's get started. 2 + 2 = 5. I said Everything in Its Right Place was either my first or my second favorite opener of any Radiohead album. This is the other one. This song just fucks, man. I can't say much more. It's incredible. I'm gonna put it right above Everything in Its Right Place in the masterpiece tier. Sit Down, Stand Up, another pretty damn good track. It's not nearly as good as the previous one, but it's still solid enough. I don't really like the last quarter of this song though, man. It's just so different from the rest of the track. -1 point. Behind Nice Dream in the really good tier. Sail to the Moon, Get Your Tissues, Buddy. One of the most beautiful songs on the album, perhaps in their entire discography. Really satisfying listen. One of those songs you listen to while you stare at the night sky. It's one of my favorites. Behind Lift in the masterpiece tier. Back Drifts. I don't like what it does to my ears, to be honest with you. It's pretty bland. I like the vocals a lot here. It's just not the most interesting. It's mediocre. Behind Fast Track in the good tier. Behind Fast Track in the good tier. Go to sleep. Hopefully you have your trucker hat nearby, because this might be one of the least Radiohead sounding Radiohead songs we've heard since Pablo Honey. It's not too bad though. I like the acoustic here. It works pretty well with this record. I'll put it behind Blowout in the good tier. Where I End and You Begin. This is pretty damn good. Instrumentally very dense, but very enjoyable. Vocally not my favorite, but lyrically a lot of this album misses for me as well, to be honest with you. I'm gonna put it above Pearly in the really good tier. Actually, that feels a little high. Behind Nice Dream. We Suck Young Blood. This track feels a little lost here. Really somber track. The clapping is kind of fucking ridiculous. There's not a lot I really like about this, to be honest with you. I like the piano, I guess. There's something nice. Top of the okay tier. The Gloaming. Man, this shit sucks. Absolute skipper. In fact, when I play the vinyl, I actually get my lazy ass up to move the needle. It's a little painful to listen to with the popping at the start. There's not much good here. Forgive me, the Gloaming Fan 94. I'm gonna put this behind Sulk in the okay tier. There, and just when the album started to lose me, I'm hooked right back in. This is one of my favorite Radiohead tracks ever. There's just so much to love here. Really beautiful lyrics and just a phenomenal showing of every member of the band here. I love it. Stay with me for a second here. Right behind Street Spirit in the God tier. And I'm going to move Idiotech behind both of them. I will. And just when they hook me back in, they lose me again. Unnecessarily somber track here. It's just not fun to listen to. It's got good lyrics. The vocals are a little strange. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Behind Dollars and Cents in the good tier. Punch Up at a Wedding. I think the song is actually really fucking good. This might be a hot take to you, but give it a chance. It's not particularly deep, and it's not even all that fresh. It's just kind of fun to listen to. Some shit I'd throw on in the car. Behind Motion Picture Soundtrack in the amazing tier. Myxomatosis. Now this is a killer track right here. It doesn't fuck around at all. Hits you with an electrifying riff and then just cooks you for the next 4 minutes. Very good song, no complaints from me. Above the national anthem in the amazing tier. Scatterbrain, another song I think is actually pretty underrated. It's a great way to set up the end of this album. This is how the album should have done a somber track. This is pretty good stuff. Above Pearly in the really good tier. A Wolf at the Door. Now for that weird time Tom York started rapping at the end of a record, but god damn it, he does it well. What can't this beautiful bastard do? This is an incredible track, above Optimistic in the masterpiece tier. Paperback Writer, this is just odd shit, man. I'm not sure if I'm in a horror movie or if I'm in a jungle. It's weird, it's not in a good way. Instrumentation is interesting, but the vocals are just... they throw me off. Actually, this shit is fire. It grew on me live in front of your eyes. I'm gonna put it behind Back Drifts in the good tier. I Am a Wicked Child. This I don't like much, and I'm putting my foot down this time. Behind Kinetic in the okay tier. I Am Citizen Insane. This is more Radiohead doing completely inexplicable bullshit, but it just doesn't really pan out that well on this track. It's not all that good. Behind Melatonin in the okay tier. Gagging Order. Now we've got to grab our trucker hat again. A nice full acoustic track to take the edge off. It's actually pretty good. Reminds me a bit of Ed Sheeran if he was a significantly more talented guitarist. Wish this was more mainstream. This is good stuff. Top of the really good tier. Where Bluebirds Fly. This sounds like something you'd hear at the end of an irrationally hard video game. Until the vocal kicks in, at least, when it becomes almost unlistenable slop. I'm sorry, this just really isn't that good. I would have kept this in the lab. Behind Hunting Bears in the decent tier. Now for what many consider the greatest Radiohead record of all time, nay, the greatest album of all time. If it's not, it belongs in the conversation. It's got hits, it's got a beautiful message, and it's got Thomas Edward York. Let's hop in. 15 Step, starting off with a bit of a whimper, I fear. It's not my favorite song on this record, but it's undeniably incredible. Fun fact, actually, someone did the math, whatever the fuck that means, and this is the happiest sounding Radiohead song. Another fun fact, it's completely about suicide. I'm gonna put it behind Knives Out in the amazing tier. Body Snatchers, here we are. This is the In Rainbows I know and I love. I absolutely love this song. The end of this track is as close as music can get to orgasmic, I think. It's incredible. Behind Pyramid Song in the masterpiece tier. Nude. My god, is this shit fire. It's an absolutely devastating track, but fuck, it's just so absurdly beautiful. This is one of the band's highest peaks with ease. Ridiculously good. Behind Paranoid Android in the god tier. Weird Fishes. What is there to even say? You know where this belongs. I'm not going to toy around with your time. It's god tier. I'm going to put it right above Nude. All I Need. More absolute devastation, please. Incredible track. The ending of this song, absurdly beautiful. Another one of the greatest songs ever. Behind Street Spirit in the god tier. Faust Arp. I actually don't like this song that much. It completely removes me from this album every time I hear it. I don't really know why I hate it so much. It's not that bad. I'm gonna put it above Follow Me Around in the good tier. Reckoner. But now we're right back to peak. This song is incredible. Absurdly beautiful again. The lyrics, the vocals, the everything. It's just perfect here. Behind Pyramid Song in the masterpiece tier. House of Cards, another song I don't absolutely love. It's good, it's just a little slower than a lot of this album has been, and not in the beautiful way that Nude did it. Still really good lyrically and vocally though. Behind Nice Dream in the really good tier. Jigsaw Falling Into Place. I imagine some of you were on the edge of your seat waiting for this moment right here. Well, I'm here to give you exactly what you want. This is one of the greatest songs ever written. Every single thing on this song is perfect. The slow build up to the vocals, the vocal switch up halfway through, the ending of the track, it just doesn't get any better than this. Above Paranoid Android in the god tier. Videotape, forgive me for what I'm about to do, Videotape fans. It's another one of my least favorite songs on this record, to be honest with you. Still really fucking good though. Very powerful lyrically, and a perfect way to wrap up this album. I'm gonna put it above Cut Tooth in the amazing tier. Mark 1. A short instrumental introduction to the record featuring an extended version of Videotape, I guess. It's cool, I can't rank it too high, but whatever. Above Untitled, in the okay tier. Down is the New Up. This shit is really good. I hadn't heard this track until I made this video, and I was ridiculously surprised and impressed. I feel like this would have had a great spot on this album too. Above Optimistic, in the masterpiece tier. Go Slowly, a bit of No Surprises vibes with this track here, just a bit worse, I guess. It's good, it's got great vocals, I like it. Above House of Cards, in the really good tier. Mark 2, I'm just gonna put it right next to Mark 1. I have nothing to say. Last Flowers, even on the B-side, Tom has delivered to us a heart-shattering, tear-jerking track. Sounds a lot like something we'd hear on Moonshaped Pool. I like it, Great lyrics, piano is beautiful, definitely one of my favorite vocal performances from Tom. I'm going to put it right above Videotape in the amazing tier. Up on the ladder, I'm on the fence here. It's good, the guitar especially is really fun, but something's off. It's not my favorite. It's solid, but it's not much more than that. Behind Bones in the good tier. Bangers and Mash. Oh man, is this track just a good fucking time. I mean, what else is there to say? What else is there to say? Listen to this track without getting groovy. Behind Just in the amazing tier. 4-minute warning, and then a bit of mediocrity to close us out here, I fear. Wish it could have ended as strong as it started, but here we are. They bit off more than they could chew, I think with this track. Sounds a little like early Pink Floyd, but earlier than you would like. I'm gonna put it above Faust Arp in the good tier. I Want None of This. I mean, it's alright. Just doesn't do much for me. Kind of a strange release. Above I Will in the good tier. Harry Patch in memory of... If you're unfamiliar with Harry Patch like I was, he was the last surviving soldier from World War I. It's a great tribute to a great man. Rest in peace. Back of the really good tier. Now on to the notorious King of Limbs era, an incredibly obscure album released way back in 2011. Following in Rainbows, it had maybe the largest shoes to fill of any shoe-filling event in history. It did not meet those expectations at all, and is widely regarded as the band's weakest effort, excluding Pablo Honey. There are fans of this record out there, though, but there's not that many of them, but they're very loud. Let's hop in. Actually, before we hop in, I'm going to do a little readjusting here. Let Down is now above Nude in the God tier. They were always a coin flip for me. Today, I like Let Down more. I'm going to move the bends down to above Last Flowers, and Creep is now above House of Cards. That's all for now. We can hop in. Bloom. Really strange track here, although this entire record is strange. I'm sorry to admit that I don't really like this record all that much. It's got some exceptions though, and this track is one of those exceptions. It just scratches an itch for me. I don't really know what else to say. I'm going to put it behind Creep in the really good tier. Morning Mr. Magpie. Now this one is not an exception. I don't think this is very good at all. It's really lackluster at the very least. It's just really boring. Behind Pop is Dead in the OK tier. Little by little. I know we're only on the third track, but I'm already a little sick of this record's sound. I like the vocals here, the lyrics are okay. It's just bland in comparison to what we've heard on other records. Above Faust Arp in the good tier. Feral. This track fucking reeks, man. It's not good. Thumbs down. Frowny face. 1 out of 10. I don't know what they were going for with this track, but I think it missed the mark. I like the lyrics. Top of the meh tier. Lotus Flower. Now this is the good stuff. This is really good and it's really fresh. The rest of this album could learn a thing or two from this track. If you haven't heard the live version of this song from the basement, it's really good. Check that shit out when you get a chance. Back of the amazing tier. Codex. Now for my favorite song on this record. It's only downhill from here, I fear. The tragically heartbreaking song of this record. It's just good stuff. Very soothing listen. Very beautiful track. Again, the basement performance of this is really good. Check that shit out. Behind Motion Picture Soundtrack in the amazing tier. Give Up the Ghost. It's alright, I suppose. Just does pretty much nothing for me. It's very forgettable. Certainly not a song I throw on often. I'm gonna put it behind Pop is Dead in the OK tier. Separator. At least the album closes out moderately strong. This track is a pretty fun listen. It's one of the better tracks on this album for sure. Scratches that same itch Bloom does, and it's just pretty good. Behind Bones in the good tier. These Are My Twisted Words. This is a pretty good track. Reminds me of the highs of the King of Limbs era. Definitely should have made this record. Behind Separator in the good tier. Super Collider. One of the longer Radiohead tracks, and I must admit it feels exactly that way. It's just longer than it probably should have been. It's okay, it's nothing special. Above Faust Arp in the good tier. The Butcher. This track also probably could have made the album. This is pretty good, and it's very Kings of Limbs-ish. I like the lyricism. The vocals are, however, a bit lackluster. Still nothing particularly special, but it's got its charm. I'm gonna put it above $1 Million Question in the really good tier. The Daily Mail. This song is actually absurdly good. I like this a lot. It's a shame this is the first time I've ever heard this track. It's got that King of Limbs sound, but it's got some downright beautiful lyrics and vocals as well. A lot of videotapes vibes here, but done even better, if I could say. Above Knives Out in the amazing tier. Staircase, on the other side of this release, were met with mid, I fear. This is alright, but I couldn't distinguish this song from any other song on the King of Limbs. More of the same, with the same not being all that great. Above Killer Cars, in the good tier. On to the band's final studio album, released back in 2016 to great public reception. A return to form after whatever the hell the King of Limbs was. It's not my personal favorite record, but it's got a lot of charm, and as a complete package, it's phenomenal. Let's hop in. Burn the Witch. I think I'm going to surprise a lot of you with this one. I don't think this is that great. It's good, don't get me wrong, but it just, I don't know, it doesn't do much for me. I'm not a huge fan of this track. Behind Bloom, in the really good tier still. Daydreaming. Now this song is incredible. Really immersive, really beautiful, just a fantastic track, deserving of all the praise it gets. Lyrically one of my favorite tracks on this record as well. Doesn't get much sadder than this. Behind Reckoner, in the masterpiece tier. Dex Dark. Perhaps my favorite track on this record. This shit just slaps, man. I don't know what else to say to you. It's very good. It's not overly traumatizing, like several songs on this record. It's very fitting on this album, though. I'm gonna put it behind Lift, in the masterpiece tier. Desert Island Disc. I fear this song feels a little weird on this album to me. It sounds like something they would have thrown together on a much older album. It's not my favorite track here, but it's solid enough. Behind Bones, in the good tier. Full Stop. Oh fuck yeah. I mean, this shit is just fun to listen to. There's no heart-wrenching piano, there's no solemn vocals, it's just good, fun track. The lyrics are dark, but what are you gonna do? I like it a lot. Above Just, in the amazing tier. Glass Eyes, now we're depressed again, but this is still really good. This album is just consistently great. Nothing blowing my socks off, but nothing I'm dragging my feet through either. This track, not my favorite here. I'm gonna put it behind Separator, in the good tier. Identikit. Really good song. I like the guitar a lot here, and the drums really do this song justice. Very solid, but again, my socks remain on my feet. Above Worrywart, in the really good tier. The Numbers. This is alright. I don't like this one all that much, to be honest. It just doesn't do much for me. Behind the Butcher, in the really good tier. Present Tense. Now this song I like a lot. Everything here just comes together and makes an absolutely phenomenal track. Very good lyrics as well. Above Optimistic, in the masterpiece tier. Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Sailor, Rich Man, Poor Man, Beggar Man, Thief. I will be deducting points for making me say that long-ass name. In all reality, this is my least favorite track on this record. I don't know what they were going for here, but personally I didn't really get it. It's mediocre. Above 4-minute Warning, in the good tier. True Love Waits. Now for the actual most devastating track ever recorded, True Love Waits. I absolutely love this song, but there's a better version of it, and I'm going to rank that at the end of this video. Lyrically, some of their best work with ease. I just don't really like the piano as much as the guitar on this track. Still devastating and still beautiful. I'm going to put it above Knives Out, in the amazing tier. Spectre. More absolute devastation coming our way. Really beautiful track. I like it a lot. Not my favorite vocally though. Very grand sounding, but it's very well executed as well. Above Codex, in the amazing tier. Ill Wind. I don't know what's going on, but I like it. It's most comparable to Amnesiac, I would say. Really good track though. Behind Subterranean Homesick, Alien, in the really good tier. True Love Waits, Live in Oslo. This is the saddest shit to ever come out of this band, and maybe out of music as a whole. It was recorded 20 years before the song officially released on A Moon-Shaped Pool, but man, I gotta admit, I prefer this version vastly. The live vocals just add so much to this track. The live acoustic guitar does the same thing. I mean, you can really feel the emotion when you listen to this track. I love it a ridiculous amount. Behind Nude, in the God tier. And with that, my friends, I've ranked every single Radiohead song. I hope you enjoyed this video. This took a long time to make. Subscribe if you don't hate me, and thank you very much for watching. Peace.